Hi, in today's lesson, we'll be taking some soft examples on multiplication of surds. I hope with these examples, you understand how to handle multiplication of surds when you see them. Now, but before we get started with these examples, from our last lesson, if I have the root of 12, remember in our last lesson, we said the root of 12 will be the same thing as the root of 4 times the root of 3. So I can pick this to mean the root of 4 times the root of 3. And remember that the root of 4 is equal to 2. So I can conclude that this is 2 times root 3, which is equal to 2 root 3. Another example is this. If I have the root of 35, if I have the root of 35 will be the same thing as the root of 5 times 7. So I can say this to mean the root of 5 times the root of 7. What if I have the root of 6? If I have the root of 6, it's the same thing as the root of 2 times the root of 3 times 3, which is equals to the root of 2 times the root of 3. Now, in this slide, we cannot take a reverse. If I'm given the root of 2 times the root of 3, obviously, this is going to become the root of 2 times 3, which is equals to the root of 6. Just taking a reverse from what we have up here down here. Now, the same thing happens if I have probably the root of 8 and I'm asked to multiply the root of 8 by the root of 9. Now, look at this. Obviously, I know you know that the root of 8 is 2 root 2 times the root of 9 is what? Is 3. If the root of 9 is 3 and the root of 8 is 2 root 2, then I can multiply my 2 by 3 here to become 6 root 2. Now with this, I want us to note something to avoid confusion. The operation of addition is quite different. If I'm to add the root of 2 plus the root of 3, it is not the same thing as the root of 2 plus 3. If you do this, you'll be getting it wrong. While it works this way in multiplication, it does not work that way with addition. So as a rule of thumb, we should know that if I have the root of A times the root of B is the same thing as the root of A times B. But if I have the root of A plus the root of B, it is not the same thing as the root of A plus B. I would like you to take note of that. Now, let's get started with our questions, with our solved examples on multiplication of surds for today. The first example we have here says the root of 3 multiplied by 2 times 2 plus the root of 3. Now, let's open this bracket. That's the first thing we're going to be doing, is to open the bracket first. Now, pick the root of 3 times 2. It becomes 2 root 3. Now, the root of 3 times the root of 3, that's plus the root of 3 times the root of 3, that's root 3 times root 3. Now, this becomes 2 root 3 plus root of 3 all squared. Now, if you are writing this in index form, it's as good as writing this becomes 2 root 3 plus 3 raised to power half all raised to power 2. So this is 2 here is 1, 2 here is what? Is 1. So my answer becomes 2 root 3 plus 3. Now, because there's no relative term here for addition, I end it here. Now, let's take the second example. The second example says you have 2 into 3 over root 2 plus 2 into root 3. Now, we open the brackets one after the other once again. Now, this becomes 3 times root 2 over root 2 plus 2 root 3 times the root of 2. Root 2 here is 1, root 2 here is 1. My answer becomes 3. I'm left with root 2 over root 2 becomes 1. I'm left with 3 here plus 2 root 3 times root 2. That becomes 2 root 6. That becomes 3 times 2, which is equals to 6. At this point, we leave it at this point. Now, let's see the third question. On the third question, I want you to pause the video and give this a try. Okay, now you have 3 minus root 2 into 2 plus root 3. Quite easily done too. Open the brackets first. Now pick it. I'll pick 3 first. 3 will have to multiply everything in this bracket. Then root 2 minus root 2 also multiplies everything in the bracket. So let's get started with 3 first. So that I've picked 3. I'll pick 3 into 2 plus 3 root 2, then minus 2 minus root 2 into 2 plus 3 root 2. I want you to notice this. I did not just pick root 2 without picking the negative sign. I picked both the root 2 and the negative sign. Now, 3 times 2, that's 6. 3 times 3 root 2, that's plus 9 root 2, minus 2 root 2 times 2, that becomes minus 2 root 2, minus root 2 times plus 3 root 2. Now, the minus times the positive becomes negative. And also, I have root 2, it becomes 3. That becomes root 2 times root 2. Okay, let's do it. You can do root 2 times 2. That's still 6 plus 9 root 2 minus 2 root 2. That becomes plus 7 root 2 minus 3 times root 2 times root 2 times 2. That's root 4. That becomes minus 3 root 4. Obviously, the square root of 4 is what? Is 2. So I can sum this up to become 6 plus 7 root 2 minus 3 into 2. That becomes 6 plus 7 root 2 minus 6. 6 and plus 6 minus 6 becomes 0. So I'm left with 7 root 2. Thank you for staying with us and see you in our next lesson.